Okay, so now I'm gonna start with the upper thigh. So grab a little blob of sugar. These hairs right here actually are growing towards my knee, but then right here they kind of shift and grow inward. It does really help to have your hair grown in at least 1/4 of an inch is good. Generally that's going to be 10 to 14 days after you shave, and about 4 to even 8 weeks after you sugar or wax. With sugaring, when you're first learning, it can be challenging. One thing you want to be careful of is not to keep pulling on the sugar if it's not flicking off, just because it could bruise your skin or cause more irritation than necessary. So if you're having trouble flicking off that sugar, you can just use a strip to put over the sugar and pull it off, but just make sure you're pulling the skin really tight before you pull it off. And if you don't have the strips that you can get like at the store, like at Sally's or Ulta or online, you can also cut up an old sheet or an old pillowcase, maybe something that's stained that you don't need or want anymore, and you can use that. In a pinch, I've actually used a washcloth, and that worked good too. Anything that you use fabric wise, you can wash it and reuse it. So like with my washcloth, it wasn't like I just used it and then had to throw it away. Like had it been wax or something like that, I wouldn't have been able to wash it off. But sugar just comes off with water, so if it does get on any clothing or fabric or anything, or even the strips, you can wash it off and reuse them. Normally I don't. I try to just use the strips, like I just get the strips from a beauty supply, or if I do make my own homemade strips, I don't generally wash them, I'll just throw them away. I'll use like material that I don't really mind throwing away, but I have heard a lot of people save their strips, and one way to reuse them is just set them in the bath, like make a bath and soak them, and the sugar usually just dissolves off of them. Or you can put them in a bucket or a sink and let them soak, and that is kind of nice for as far as recycling. And then as far as like not being as harsh on the environment, you don't have to use a glove. I kind of like using a glove because my hands tend to be warm, so it stops some of that heat from getting in the sugar. But also when I go to get a fresh piece of sugar, I just take the glove off, throw it away, and my hand's clean. Where when I don't wear a glove, I have to wash my hand in between each blob of sugar, which isn't horrible, but it's just one more, you know, it just takes a little bit more time. So on this part of my leg, I really don't have the thick, like the more coarse hair. This up here, this is just blonde fine hair, but I still really like to sugar it, just for the exfoliating factor. It just feels great to have this a little bit. Let's see if you guys can see a little better. So when I'm putting it on, I really like to plow the sugar. You want to make sure that your hand isn't flat like this going on. You want to keep the sugar at your fingertips. So a great way to do that is just to use your hand at that perpendicular angle to the skin where it's straight up and down, rather than flat on the skin. You'll find it just works so much better. It doesn't get as melty. It is a little bit of counterintuitive though, so in the beginning you have to remind yourself, because it's more natural to want to go flat. This side of my leg, I think the hairs, they're really light, so they're kind of hard to see, but I think they do kind of tend to grow sideways. The sugar blob is starting to get a little bit sticky and old. I'm feeling like it's, you know, not working quite as well, but I'm still pushing it to get a few more uses out of it. A lot of times I find that you're going to need at least 4 blobs of sugar for your legs, like one for the lower quarter, one for the other lower quarter, one for the upper quarter, and another one for the other quarter. But you might even find in the beginning that you're going through a lot more sugar, because if you do get stuck and you have to use a strip to pull it off, then it's just useless, you know. I mean, you have to throw it away and start fresh. I know I have more hair on my left leg, but I'm going to go ahead and start on the right. Just to kind of start a fresh canvas. This might be my last blob of sugar for my legs. We'll see how far it takes me. I might have to do like as much as I can with this and then grab one more piece of sugar and kind of clean up any missed spots. There are some different sugar textures available from My Gold Sugar. Our website is bedazzle.com. And when you first start, I just always recommend the firm. It's going to be a little bit slower moving because it's a thicker sugar paste. But you're just going to have a lot more ease with it because it doesn't get so melty. It really stays a little firmer while you're working with it. And as you gain skill with flicking the sugar, then you might want to upgrade, or not upgrade, but try to use the medium, or even the medium firm. The medium firm is kind of a good second one, and then maybe the medium. But I would say there are some people that just stick with the firm. So that one was getting a little sticky. I'm just going to let it sit. It might just be like my hand heat, my body heat warming up, and it's getting a little bit sticky. So if it sits for a little bit, it can cool down and hopefully be easier to get it off. But you can see even with a smaller piece of sugar, like I don't have as much in my hand now, but I'm still able to do quite a bit of an area and have more control because it's a smaller piece. So you can always start off with smaller pieces of sugar too, and maybe have a little bit better result. Whenever the sugar gets stuck like that, it's better just to kind of pause, let it sit, rather than keep trying to get it off. Just let it sit and come back to it later. So you can't really see, but I'm actually holding my skin down on my thigh and pinching it. So that's keeping the skin tight. You always want to hold the skin tight from the side that you're going to flick from. Growing more in. So besides teaching people how to sugar themselves, I also do classes for estheticians, salon owners, spa owners that want to offer the sugaring service to their clients. And we are going to be featured at the Orlando premiere next weekend. And I'm going to be doing a sugaring demonstration class on Saturday. That show is only available to cosmetologists, nail technicians, facialists, or spa owners, or salon owners. And there's still time to register. I know the class that I'm going to be doing is just a free demonstration. But I'm going to be offering the in-person or virtual sugaring courses at a discount for anybody that's able to make the show. And sugaring is just an awesome service to offer. More and more customers are requesting it. If you haven't had anybody request it yet, they will in the future. And it's nice to be able to say, yep, we offer that. You could always start with the strip method, where you just use sugar just like wax. I know some salons that's all they do, but a lot of customers like this paste method. Just when you're using your hand, it does alleviate some of the pain. And I like they're feeling very nice and soft. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna grab a piece of sugar. And let's go ahead and start back here. I'm just going to kind of hold my leg up, go up on it, flick down. Okay, let's see, alright, so it's harder to follow a strict pattern on the back of my legs because it's harder for me to see what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of like doing little piece by piece and then checking and then seeing where I missed hairs and then going back. And so I don't really have as much of a pattern where you probably saw like on the lower leg, it's a little bit easier to start at the base, go up to the knee, go to the next section, and kind of follow a little bit of a pattern. Can't even see that. Okay. And then the inner thigh. Now I'm just using that one finger method, which a lot of times when I'm doing bikinis, it's more sensitive. So I will tend to just use one finger. Now I'm switched to 2 fingers. But that way you're not doing as thick of a area. Since the skin does have more nerves, it's just a little more sensitive. Now here you probably can't see hair, but I saw like a little bit of those blonde ones that I missed. And you can hear it, like when it comes off, it has that like hair pulling sound. If you've ever heard the sound of wax, it is a little bit harsher of a sound than the sugar, and that's because the wax is pulling more on the skin. It's a little more sticky. So again, I'm pulling that skin tight wherever I can. Inner thighs are going to be a little more challenging because there's more, at least on me, a little more flab, soft tissue. And then now just kind of on certain spots, just using that one finger just to grab 1 or 2 hairs here and there. This is where it's just great to like maybe be listening to a book on tape, or like, I guess they don't even have tape anymore, a audiobook or a podcast. Something to maybe kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Utilize your time for something additional besides just the sugaring. I have a little bit of a mole on this inner leg. With sugaring, I found it's pretty safe to go over moles, but if you're unsure about it, you could always go around the mole. And of course, if the mole doesn't have any hair that you're worried about, you don't necessarily need to go over it either. Just go around the mole. Now, the same thing with skin tags. Usually I've gone over the skin tags, haven't had much problem with the sugar, but it will pull a little bit on things like that. So to make it more comfortable, you don't have to go over it if you're able to go around. Sometimes I just feel like I can't get close enough by going around, so I'll just go over. Especially if the skin tag's like on an underarm or something like that. Just grab another piece of sugar. I'm just kind of doing real small pieces, just to try to not get as stuck, although I might have to. This is kind of where I'm using the sugar as a tweezer. Just kind of going up on just those 1 little hairs here and there. I'm going to use the strip though to get the bulk of it off and get that piece off. So I think I'm going to call that good. At least you get the idea. If you want to be more particular, you can. And sometimes it's kind of nice to go over it the next day. And just like after you've showered and washed everything, then go over it the next day and just look for any missed hairs. There's also been times where I went in and got waxed at a place or sugared, and then when I got home I went ahead and washed and then shaved, because I always seem to miss some spots in my leg, especially because I have long legs. So anyways, hopefully that helped you learn a little bit about leg sugaring, and I'll see you in the next video.